Snow White marks the newest live-action Disney remake, and being surrounded in tons of controversy, mixed reviews, and an overall distaste for remake treatment, today I want to put it up against the other Disney live-action remakes and rank every single Disney remake from the worst to the best. There are so many live-action remakes, and I haven't seen every single one, so even if your favorite isn't on the list, let me know your favorite films in the comments. But before we get into it, the tiers we have today are bad, meh, good, great, and best of the best. But let's get into it, starting off the list with Cruella. I think Cruella is a definition of a good live-action Disney remake. Obviously, this isn't specifically following 101 Dalmatians, and so that's why it gets a little bit of leeway. Is this a remake? Technically not, but I think it's inspired by a great story, and it actually feels like the perfect prelude to that type of story, which is why I think it fits well into this category. The only reason I put it in good and not great or best of the best is because though I think Emma Stone is arguably one of the best performances on the entirety of this list, she really doesn't do much outside of that. The film doesn't really help her writing wise. And I think the whole fashion show thing by the back half of the film really just makes the final act drag way too long. But then we have The Lion King, and this is going in bad. Now, I have not seen Mufasa, and I do not ever plan to watch it, but The Lion King is a definition of a lifeless movie that just feels like it gains absolutely nothing from live action treatment, which honestly I feel like most movies gain nothing from that, but I think at least looking at Cruella, they did something interesting there. This, they literally did nothing. They just made lifeless animals that feel like they just a waste of money, but I guess Disney got the bag out of it. And then we have The Jungle Book. This is gonna go in great, borderline best of the best. Now, when I was doing my research for this video, I realized I did like this movie a lot, but I also really liked the Andy Serkis Netflix version of The Jungle Book. I believe the Disney live action remake came out in 2016, and then the Andy Serkis one came out in 2018. And I just think the voice cast works a lot better in the more recent one. But I think this does really set a great bar for the live action Disney remakes. I think the lead boy as Mowgli is really great. And I think Idris Elba is also phenomenal. Jon Favreau directs the hell out of it. But I do think this is also what kind of made them try to do The Lion King, which is really weird because they do feel like they have great emotions and just in general a great array of making the live action things work really well. I also think it's because the jungle as an environment looks more interesting than the desert or Sahara sequences. And then we have Beauty and the Beast. This one is going in the best. This might just end up taking the #1 spot. Emma Watson is phenomenal in this film. In my opinion, this is the best performance of all of the live action Disney princesses in general. And then I think this story, not only do they add good enough songs, but I also think they just do the baseline story of Beauty and the Beast so perfectly. And I also think the scenery, this film doesn't look cheap, whereas I feel like a lot of, especially the more modern Disney live action remakes, they look really cheap. I vividly remember watching this one in theaters and just being stunned by it. I think the Beast story is done really well, and I think the second act is a lot of problems for the Disney live action princess films specifically, but I think the second act does drag a little bit in terms of the music and kind of being introduced to the castle. But I think everything in the first act and the final act work so seamlessly and so perfectly that I don't mind a little bit of the dip in the middle. And then we have Cinderella. This one's gonna go in meh for me, just because I feel like after watching Beauty and the Beast, I was like, this is exactly how you do it. I felt like I was truly seeing the animated character come to life. I didn't necessarily see that in the Cinderella film, and that's just me, I guess. I think the casting is fine. I just don't really see it as much as I could see other actresses playing the role. And then we get to Mulan, which I'm also gonna put in meh, right below Cinderella. Again, the sets and the character work, it's all fine. Like, it all just feels like the live action remake, but it doesn't really feel like anything more. This is the film where when you see the original, you kind of just are like, oh, the original is just better. And again, I think the thing that separates Beauty and the Beast, for example, is just the fact that it's really adding on to it. And then we have Alladin. I'm gonna put this in good. I think there's a good enough thing going on with everyone in their roles, but I think Naomi Scott is absolutely perfect as Princess Jasmine. This is where I will say, to me, the CGI feels like we're kind of getting into like very modern 2020s muddy CGI, but I still think it is very fun. It's very exhilarating, and I feel like truly the sets here are captivating. Like, the whole world is captivating. I feel like Jafar isn't as good as the villain here. Like, I'm more invested in the love story, which is what I think really this and Beauty and the Beast do very well. Honestly, I could say the same thing about Snow White. I mean, I think prioritizing the love story started here, and I think it works really, really well. And then we have The Little Mermaid, which I'm gonna put at the bottom of great. I think this is the definition of prioritizing the love story. Like, if you compare this to the original Little Mermaid film, there is so much more depth going on here. This is exactly what I need when we're expanding something into live action. But on the other side of that, this movie looks like absolute shit. Like, it is arguably the worst looking movie out of the bunch here. But I think Halle Bailey is perfect as Ariel. And I think just the overall sets and world, it is captivating. I just feel like it looks a little bit dull. I'm not necessarily saying I think this version is better than the animated version, but it feels like a new take that warranted a live action film, unlike most of these other films in my opinion. And then we have Lady and the Tramp. This one's gonna go in like top of bad. This is so harmless, which kind of makes me not want to ever watch it again. Like, I could rewatch Mulan and Cinderella. I would never turn this on again. Now, Alice in the Wonderland, on the other hand, this is a movie I'm gonna put at meh, but I'm gonna put it at the top of meh just because I can respect what this film goes for. It strives to do everything that the animated film did, and I think at least the performances, they are trying to exude some sort of animated, childlike, but also creepy wonder. Everything about this film feels like they're trying to do something unique. And even though I don't think it necessarily works, and I think this does fall into the weird, like, we're trying to expand an hour and 25-minute movie into like a 2-hour long live action Disney film that needs to make us $1 billion type of thing. Other than that, I think it works. It is entertaining. And this does do well on the promise of stepping through the looking glass, because the world that they build here is absolutely perfect stuff. Like, it might look dull at times, but it still does feel very immersive. And then we have Dumbo. I'm also gonna put this at meh. Actually, I might put this in bad. Dumbo's not a good movie. Okay, respectfully, I'll put it at the bottom of meh. I'm gonna put it in bad, actually. I am gonna put it in bad. Yeah, Dumbo is not good. I feel like when you have an animal protagonist, especially in live action Disney remakes, it doesn't work the best. And because you're trying to shoehorn in another human character to kind of carry all of the emotional weight and have this relationship between human and animal be the core of the film. And I just don't think that's really why Dumbo works originally. Oh, this also looks like absolute smog. Honestly, to me, I just don't feel the magic in this film. And then we have Maleficent. Now, this one's interesting. I'm gonna put Maleficent at the bottom of great, with the huge asterisk that I have not seen it in a while, but I remember it being so awesome. I had this on Blu-ray, like back when my family would just randomly buy Blu-rays from Walmart or Target or whatever, Blockbuster, when we rent them out. We would get Maleficent all the time. Okay, I feel like I gotta put it in good just to be fair. Okay, I'm gonna put Maleficent in the middle of good. This movie is so awesome. Angelina Jolie is so fucking scary in this role. The world that they build here is so perfect. I haven't seen the sequel for this. I want to watch it after I rewatch this film, actually. When I was looking up all the films for this list, I came across, I didn't even know they made a sequel for it. I think the whole Sleeping Beauty idea is really great. And I was originally convinced that they would just do a Sleeping Beauty film, but I think Maleficent is the perfect way. And I think it was the perfect segue into making a film like Cruella as well, because when you're doing something in live action, I think taking the villain's approach to it, like seeing their side of it, is much more interesting than just redoing the live action animated thing. Like story for story, beat for beat. You either expand on it a lot, like Little Mermaid in my opinion, or you take a different perspective on it, like Cruella or Maleficent. And then we have Pinnochio. This is bad. This is very bad. Now, on principle, I'm gonna put it above The Lion King because I just hate The Lion King for everything the film stands for. But Pinocchio is very bad. Now, not only is this isn't even the best Pinocchio film that came out that year. If I'm not mistaken, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio came out that year. And that is a million gajillion times. Those shouldn't even be the same sentence. I'm so sorry. This film is an abomination. Not only is Pinocchio ugly as hell, but Tom Hanks gives a dog shit performance. Like, I've never seen someone miss this hard. Well, actually, that's not true. Let's wait to talk about the next movie. But with that being said, the newest film, Snow White, this one is gonna go at the very top of meh. Sadly, this movie feels like it was not only butchered in the editing room, but also just had no real clear concept from the beginning. Now, obviously, we know all of the controversies on just a storytelling level, just because they didn't really know where they wanted to go. But I also think Gal Gadot delivers one of the worst performances I think I've ever seen in my entire life in a film here. Every single time she spoke, my brother looked over at me and we busted out laughing. I think visually it tries to have some sort of style, but ends up just looking like everything in the foreground is real, but then everything in the extended background is just so fake, so overlit and blown out that you can just tell it's on a fake soundstage. But I think the saving grace of this film is 100% Rachel Zegler. She is absolutely phenomenal here. Not only is her voice absolutely perfect, but I think she delivers on all of the great moments that she has in the movie. I did enjoy the way that they switched up this story from the original. I really enjoyed how they made it timely in a sense, and I also see why they changed certain things and why they didn't change other things. But like I mentioned throughout this video, this film does nothing to warrant a live action remake. I think if they had fully gone in with the whole bandit idea, they could have done a lot with this film, but then they would have taken out the core part of the original film, which was the Seven Dwarfs. So you had to really pick and choose your poison here, but I thought this was the most meh movie of all time, but I still had, I didn't dread every single second of it, other than when Gal Gadot was on the screen. I was audibly like groaning when she got on the screen because it was so bad. But that wraps up my ranking for all of the live action Disney remakes I've seen. Even if I haven't seen your favorite, let me know your favorites of the remakes in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.